Captain Jeho Park stood at the command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, his eyes fixed on the massive screen before him. The alien ships had appeared without warning, their dark shapes blocking out the stars. They were bigger than anything humans had ever built, each one the size of a small city. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," reported Officer Lee from her communication station. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. Jeho took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity had prepared for since they first looked up at the stars. "Put it through," he ordered. The screen flickered, and a figure appeared. It wasn't anything like they had expected. The alien looked almost like a tall, elegant statue made of crystal. When it spoke, its voice was translated instantly by Earth's advanced AI systems. "People of Earth," the crystal being announced, "I am Supreme Commander Vex of the Drachnid Empire. Your planet has been chosen for integration into our dominion. Resist, and we will be forced to demonstrate our power. You have 6 Earth hours to surrender." Jeho's face remained calm, but his mind raced. Earth's sensors showed over 300 massive warships in high orbit. Their technology was clearly advanced, but something about their formation bothered him. It was too rigid, too traditional. "Supreme Commander," Jeho replied diplomatically, "Earth would like to discuss peaceful alternatives to integration." "Perhaps we could." "There will be no discussion," Vex interrupted. "Your species is young. Your technology is primitive. This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notice before your inevitable submission." In the background, Jeho noticed his second-in-command, Captain Do-hyun, quietly activating Earth's global defense network. They had planned for this scenario, even if they hadn't expected it so soon. "I understand," Jeho said carefully. "However, I feel I must warn you about Earth's history." The alien commander laughed, a sound like tinkling glass. "Warn us? Your largest ships are barely the size of our scout vessels. Your weapons are based on simple physics. What could we possibly need warning about?" Jeho thought about humanity's long history of warfare, about how humans had turned their entire planet into an interconnected defense system after discovering alien life was real. He thought about the millions of automated drones hidden throughout the solar system, the quantum defense shields, and the reverse-engineered technology they had secretly developed. "Supreme Commander, we have a saying on Earth," Jeho said quietly. "Never disturb a hornet's nest unless you're prepared for the consequences." "Your Earth metaphors mean nothing to us, Captain," Vex replied dismissively. 6 hours. Then we will show you the true meaning of power." The transmission ended, and the command center burst into activity. Jeho turned to his crew, his voice firm and clear. "Send word to all Earth defense stations. Activate Protocol Hornet, and get me a direct line to the World Defense Council." "Sir," Do-hyun asked, "should we begin evacuation procedures for major cities?" Jeho shook his head. "No, we've prepared for this. Our cities are already more heavily defended than they know. What they see up there," he gestured at the massive alien fleet, "that's their first mistake. They think we're showing them everything we have." He walked to the central tactical display, where hundreds of small dots represented Earth's hidden defenses. They see a primitive planet ready for conquest. What they don't see is that humanity has turned this entire solar system into one giant hornet's nest, and they're about to strike it with a stick. Around the world, deep underground bunkers hummed to life. Orbital platforms disguised as debris began powering up. Millions of drone swarms waited in hiding. Earth had learned from its own history. The best defenses were the ones your enemy didn't know existed. The next 6 hours would change the galaxy forever. And Captain Jeho Park allowed himself a small smile, knowing that the Drachnids were about to learn why you should never underestimate the smallest beings in the room. Ambassador Ha-won Kim walked through the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council's neutral space station. Her formal diplomatic uniform felt heavy under the artificial gravity. 2 armed guards escorted her to the emergency meeting chamber, where representatives from various alien civilizations had gathered to discuss the situation with Earth. The chamber was filled with beings of different shapes and sizes. Some floated in special tanks, others stood on multiple legs, but all eyes turned to watch the human ambassador enter. At the center of the room, Supreme Commander Vex of the Drachnids towered over everyone. "You request this meeting, human," Vex said, his crystal form reflecting the room's lights. "Speak quickly. Your time grows short." HFY stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "Honorable members of the Council, I come to prevent a terrible mistake. The Drachnid Empire believes Earth will be an easy conquest. They are wrong." Murmurs filled the chamber. A blue-skinned council member leaned forward. "Your species has only achieved spaceflight in the last century. What defense could you possibly mount against the Empire?" "Let me tell you about Earth's history," HFY began. She activated a holographic display showing scenes from human history. "For thousands of years, humans have fought wars. We have learned from every battle. When we face stronger enemies, we adapt. When we are outnumbered, we find new ways to fight." Supreme Commander Vex waved his crystalline hand dismissively. "Primitive conflicts. You fought with sticks and stones while we mastered the stars. Those primitive conflicts taught us everything about survival," HFY continued. She showed images of Earth's modern cities, carefully hiding their defensive capabilities. "We learned to hide our strengths, to prepare for threats. When we discovered we were not alone in the universe, we did not celebrate. We prepared." The council members watched as she displayed more images. "Earth appears peaceful, but we have spent decades getting ready for this moment. Every child learns combat skills. Every citizen knows their role in planetary defense. We have turned our entire solar system into a fortress." Vex laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. "Your bravery is admirable, but foolish. Our smallest warship carries enough firepower to level your largest city." HFY's expression remained calm. "Commander, in Earth's history, there was a human named Napoleon. He was a brilliant military leader who conquered many lands, but he made one crucial mistake. He invaded Russia thinking it would be easy. Do you know what happened?" "I do not care for your historical lessons," Vex interrupted. "He lost his entire army," HFY continued. "Not because Russia had better weapons or soldiers, but because he underestimated their preparation and determination. The Russians turned their greatest weakness, their harsh winter, into their strongest weapon." She turned to address the entire council. "Earth may seem weak to you. Our ships may seem primitive. But like those Russians centuries ago, we have prepared. We have turned every asteroid, every piece of space debris, into part of our defense. We have weapons you haven't detected, strategies you can't predict." "Enough," Vex declared. "The Drachnid Empire has conquered 1,000 worlds. Your threats mean nothing." HFY gathered her papers quietly. "Then we have nothing more to discuss. But remember this moment, Commander. Remember that we tried to warn you." She turned to leave, then paused. "There's one more Earth saying you should know. The most dangerous enemy is the one you underestimate." As she walked out of the chamber, emergency signals began flashing. The 6-hour deadline was approaching. Back on Earth, Captain Jai-Ho Park received her message. Diplomacy has failed. They wouldn't listen. Activate all defenses. The Drachnid Empire was about to learn why Earth's history of constant warfare had created not just survivors, but warriors. And they would learn it the hard way. Lieutenant Sun Mei Li stood at her control station in Earth's hidden quantum defense facility, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Her fingers moved quickly over the holographic controls as she monitored the approaching Drachnid fleet. "Time to enemy engagement," she asked her team. 3 minutes until they enter our outer defense zone," responded her second officer. "They're moving exactly as predicted, in standard attack formation." The massive screen showed hundreds of Drachnid warships descending toward Earth. They had arranged themselves in perfect lines, like soldiers on an ancient battlefield. Their weapons were powered up, ready to demonstrate their superior technology to the primitive humans. In orbit, Supreme Commander Vex issued orders from his flagship. Begin the first wave of attack. Target their largest military installations. Show these humans the price of defiance. The Drachnid ships fired their weapons. Enormous beams of energy cut through space toward Earth. On the surface, civilians watched through their windows as the sky lit up with deadly light. But Lieutenant Sun Mai remained calm. She had spent 5 years helping develop Earth's quantum defense system. She knew something the Drachnids didn't. Humans had learned to manipulate space itself. "Quantum shields activating," she announced. Her fingers danced across the controls, activating the network of quantum generators hidden across the planet. Engaging protocol mirror. The Drachnid energy weapons struck Earth's atmosphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, to the aliens' shock, their energy beams bent and twisted. The quantum shield wasn't just blocking their attacks, it was redirecting them. "Impossible," Vex shouted as he watched his fleet's own weapons turn back against them. 20 Drachnid ships exploded as their energy beams were reflected precisely back to their source. Sun Mai allowed herself a small smile. Phase 1 complete. Beginning Phase 2. Across Earth's surface, hidden launch facilities opened. But instead of traditional missiles, they released clouds of what looked like metallic dust into the atmosphere. The Drachnid sensors barely registered the particles. "What are these readings?" a Drachnid officer asked. "Some kind of pollution." They soon discovered their mistake. Each microscopic particle was actually a nanodrone, carrying a tiny but powerful quantum charge. Millions of them surrounded the Drachnid ships, creating webs of energy that disrupted their shields. "Our shields are failing," reported a Drachnid captain. "These particles, they're machines." Sun Mai activated the final stage of her defense system. The quantum-charged nanodrones began to resonate at specific frequencies. Drachnid ships started losing power as their energy systems were disrupted by the quantum interference. "Pull back," Vex ordered. "Retreat to high orbit." But it was too late. The nanodrone cloud had created a quantum net around the first wave of their fleet. 40 more ships lost power and drifted helplessly in space before their emergency systems could engage. In the underwater command center, Sun Mai received a message from Captain Jiho Park. "Excellent work, Lieutenant. The Drachnids just learned their first lesson about Earth's defenses." "Thank you, sir," she replied. "But they'll adapt to these tactics. We should prepare the next phase of defense." On his flagship, Supreme Commander Vex stared at the debris of his ships, his crystalline form clouded with anger. How did they develop quantum technology without us detecting it? The answer was simple, though the Drachnids couldn't know it. Humans had spent decades watching the stars, learning from distant battles, and preparing for this moment. They had hidden their advances behind a mask of primitive technology. As the damaged Drachnid ships retreated, Lieutenant Sun Mai began recalibrating her defense systems. She knew this was only the beginning. The Drachnids would return with new tactics, but Earth had many more surprises waiting. The first battle was over. Humanity had shown that even Hornets could sting through the strongest armor if they struck in the right place. Colonel Tai Young Cho watched the tactical display in Earth's primary defense command center. The Drachnid fleet had regrouped after their first defeat and was preparing for another attack. This time, they had spread their ships out to avoid the quantum defense system's effects. "They're learning," Tai Young said to his command staff. "Now it's time to show them why we named our defense strategy Protocol Hornet." He pressed his hand against the command console's scanner. Red lights began flashing throughout the command center as the system recognized his authorization. On screens around him, hundreds of small dots began to appear, spreading out from hidden locations across the solar system. In space, the Drachnid ships detected the new activity. Supreme Commander Vex received urgent reports from his sensor operators. "Multiple small objects detected, Commander," a Drachnid officer reported. "They appear to be launching from Earth's asteroid belt and various orbital positions." Vex studied the readings with disdain. Primitive attack drones, nothing more. Prepare point defense systems. But these were not ordinary drones. As they approached the Drachnid fleet, they began to demonstrate their true capabilities. Each drone was the size of a small car, powered by miniaturized fusion engines. They moved with impossible speed, changing direction instantly without slowing down. How are they moving like that? A Drachnid captain demanded. Their acceleration defies normal physics. Colonel Tai Young smiled as he watched the drones engage. Earth had discovered a way to manipulate gravity fields around small objects, allowing the drones to ignore normal laws of momentum. It was technology they had kept hidden, waiting for this moment. "Begin attack pattern, Delta," he ordered. "Show them why we call it a swarm." The drones moved in perfect coordination, forming complex three-dimensional patterns around the Drachnid ships. When the aliens fired their weapons, the drones shifted position faster than the targeting computers could adjust. "Their evasion patterns are too complex," reported a Drachnid gunner. "We cannot establish target locks." Then the swarm demonstrated its offensive capabilities. Each drone carried a small but powerful weapon, a concentrated beam of particles that could cut through advanced alien armor. Alone, each beam was merely annoying, but thousands of drones firing together created an overwhelming force. "Hull breaches detected on multiple ships," shouted a Drachnid officer. "These drones, they're coordinating their attacks." Tai Young watched as his swarm executed perfectly choreographed attack patterns. The drones moved like a single organism, targeting weak points in the Drachnid ship's armor. When the aliens adjusted their shields, the swarm instantly changed tactics. "Launch the second wave," Tai Young ordered. From Earth's moon, another 10,000 drones emerged from hidden bases. Supreme Commander Vex watched in growing anger as his fleet was forced to scatter. His mighty warships, each capable of destroying a city, were being overwhelmed by countless small attackers they couldn't effectively fight back against. "This is impossible," Vex raged. "These humans are supposed to be primitive. How do they develop such advanced drone technology?" In the command center, Colonel Tai Young received a message from Captain Jaiho Park. "Excellent work, Colonel. The Drachnids are learning that size isn't everything." "Thank you, sir," Tai Young replied. "But this is just the beginning. The real swarm is still waiting." As if to emphasize his words, status lights began activating on his display, showing tens of thousands more drones powering up throughout the solar system. Earth had transformed every piece of space debris, every small asteroid, into a hidden weapon. The Hornets' nest had been disturbed, and the swarm was just beginning to emerge. Admiral Du Hyun Kang stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Thunder, hidden in the shadow of Mars. His fleet of 50 ships represented humanity's first major counter-strike force. Each vessel contained technology reverse-engineered from studying alien battles over the past decades. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his communications officer announced. "The Drachnid fleet has fallen back to their forward bases near Jupiter's moons." Do Hyun nodded, his expression serious. "Send the signal to begin Operation Lightning." The Earth fleet emerged from hiding, their hulls covered in special materials that absorbed sensor signals. They had studied how Drachnid detection systems worked and found a way to move almost invisibly through space. On the main Drachnid base on Europa, alarm systems remained silent as Earth's ships approached. Supreme Commander Vex had retreated here to repair his damaged fleet and plan his next attack on Earth. "Status report," Vex demanded from his command center. "Still no response from our forward scouts, Commander," an officer reported. "The human swarm drones have damaged 30% of our fleet. Repairs are ongoing." Suddenly, their sensors detected multiple energy signatures. Du Hyun's fleet had powered up their weapons all at once, too close for the Drachnids to react effectively. "Human ships," a Drachnid officer shouted. "But their design, impossible." The Earth vessels looked similar to Drachnid warships, but smaller and more streamlined. They carried weapons that appeared to be advanced versions of alien technology. As they opened fire, their energy beams cut through Drachnid shields as if they weren't there. How do they have this technology? Vex demanded. Their ships are using modified versions of our own weapons. Do-hyun's voice came through on all Drachnid communication channels. We learned from watching you fight others. Every battle you fought near our solar system taught us something new. We took your technology and made it better. The Earth fleet moved with perfect coordination, targeting the Drachnid repair facilities first. Their smaller size made them harder to hit, while their advanced weapons struck with devastating accuracy. Launch all fighters, Vex ordered. Hundreds of Drachnid combat vessels poured out of the base. Do-hyun had expected this. Execute maneuver pattern Sigma, he commanded. His fleet split into smaller groups, each one drawing Drachnid fighters away from their base. Then more Earth ships appeared from behind Jupiter's other moons, catching the Drachnid forces in a carefully planned trap. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, the enemy fighters are scattered. Their base defenses are exposed. Begin Phase 2, Do-hyun ordered. His ships launched special missiles containing the same nanodrones that had proven so effective in Earth's defense. The microscopic machines swarmed through the Drachnid base, disrupting systems and disabling weapons. Vex watched in growing horror as his base's systems shut down one by one. How can they understand our technology so well? They were supposed to be centuries behind us. The truth was simple but brilliant. Humans had spent years allowing alien civilizations to think they were primitive, all while studying, learning, and improving upon every piece of technology they could observe. As the battle ended, Do-hyun sent a message to Earth Command. Forward base neutralized. The Drachnids have lost their repair and resupply point in our solar system. The response from Captain Jae-ho Park was brief. Excellent work, Admiral. Now they know we can strike back. Let them worry about where we'll hit next. The Hornets had not just defended their nest, they had struck at their enemy's home. And this was only the beginning of humanity's counterattack. Commander Eugene Choi moved silently through the abandoned mining station on Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Her special operations team had spent weeks setting up this trap. Now they waited as a Drachnid patrol fleet approached their position. Target fleet is following the debris trail, reported her second-in-command through a secure channel. They suspect nothing. The debris trail was deliberate. Eugene's team had scattered pieces of destroyed ships, making it look like damaged Earth vessels had fled this way. The Drachnids, eager to destroy any human ships, followed the trail directly into their trap. Supreme Commander Vex had ordered his patrols to hunt down and eliminate all human forces. After losing their forward base near Jupiter, the Drachnids were angry and determined to reassert their dominance. These humans fight like insects, the patrol commander said as his ships approached Titan. Always hiding, striking, then running away. Eugene smiled as she heard these words through intercepted communications. That's right, she whispered. Keep thinking we're just insects. The Drachnid ships moved closer to Titan's atmosphere. Their sensors were focused on finding hidden Earth vessels. They didn't notice that the debris field around them was slowly moving, shifting position in ways that natural space debris should not. Now, Eugene commanded. The debris field came alive. What the Drachnids thought were broken ship parts were actually disguised mines and weapons platforms. They activated all at once, creating a sphere of deadly energy around the patrol fleet. Ambush. The Drachnid commander shouted. Evasive maneuvers. But there was nowhere to escape. Eugene's team had studied Drachnid ship formations and tactical responses. They knew exactly how the alien vessels would try to retreat. Phase 2, she ordered. Hidden ports opened in Titan's icy surface. More Earth ships emerged, smaller and faster than anything the Drachnids had seen before. These vessels were a new design, built specifically for hit-and-run attacks. Their ships are too small to track. A Drachnid officer reported in panic. Our weapons cannot lock on. Jin's vessels darted between the larger Drachnid ships, firing precise shots at weak points in their armor. Each hit was carefully planned to disable rather than destroy. "Remember," she reminded her pilots, "we want survivors to report back. Let them see what happens when they underestimate us." The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. When it ended, most of the Drachnid patrol fleet floated powerless in space. Only their life support systems remained functional. Jin opened a channel to the defeated Drachnid commander. "We could destroy your ships completely," she said calmly. "But we want you to deliver a message to Supreme Commander Vex. Tell him that every moon, every asteroid, every piece of space debris in our solar system could be hiding more surprises." She paused, then added, "And remind him that he still hasn't seen our main fleet." As rescue ships arrived to collect the disabled Drachnid vessels, Jin sent her report to Earth Command. Captain Jeho Park's response was simple. "Excellent tactics, Commander. The Hornets have stung again." In his command center, Supreme Commander Vex received the reports from his defeated patrol. His crystalline form trembled with rage as he realized the truth. These humans weren't just defending their planet. They had transformed their entire solar system into a deadly maze of traps and ambushes. The mighty Drachnid Empire, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was learning a painful lesson. Sometimes the smallest enemy could be the most dangerous, especially when that enemy had spent years preparing for this very fight. Senior observer Minho Park walked through the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council's central chamber. The emergency session had been called after reports of the Drachnid Empire's repeated defeats spread across the galaxy. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations had gathered to discuss the unexpected turn of events. "The humans have defeated 3 major Drachnid fleets," Minho heard alien delegates whispering. "They transformed their entire solar system into a weapon." The chamber fell silent as Supreme Commander Vex entered. His crystalline form showed signs of stress, with small cracks visible in his usual perfect surface. Behind him, Ambassador Ha-Won Kim of Earth entered quietly, taking her place at the diplomatic platform. "This council is now in session," announced the chief administrator, a tall being made of pure energy. "We are here to address the ongoing conflict between the Drachnid Empire and Earth." Minho stood to speak. As the senior observer who had studied Earth for decades, his words carried weight. "Honored members of the Council, I have watched humanity's development for 50 years. What we see today is not surprising to those who truly understand Earth's history." He activated the central display, showing scenes from Earth's past conflicts. "Humans have always been creative in warfare. When faced with stronger opponents, they adapt. When outnumbered, they find new ways to fight. The Drachnid Empire's mistake was assuming technological superiority guaranteed victory." Supreme Commander Vex moved forward. "These humans used deception. They hid their true capabilities." "Yes," Minho replied calmly, "just as they have done throughout their history. They showed you what they wanted you to see. While you saw primitive technology, they were studying your every move, improving upon your designs." The display showed images of Earth's recent victories. The quantum shields reflecting Drachnid weapons, the swarms of advanced drones overwhelming larger ships, the perfectly executed ambushes that had decimated Drachnid patrols. Earth did not just prepare for war, Minho continued. They transformed their entire solar system into an interconnected defense network. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of debris could be a weapon or a trap. The harder you strike at them, the more of their hidden strengths are revealed. Ambassador Ha-Won stepped forward. "We tried to warn you, Commander Vex. We asked for peace. You chose war. And now you understand why Earth is called the Hornets' Nest." The council members murmured in agreement. Many had watched the conflict with growing concern, seeing their own assumptions about humanity proven wrong. Therefore, Minho announced, "I propose an immediate recognition of Earth as a sovereign power, with all rights and protections under galactic law. Furthermore, I recommend establishing formal diplomatic relations with humanity, not as a primitive species, but as equals. The vote was quick and nearly unanimous. Even Supreme Commander Vex, understanding the cost of continuing the conflict, raised his hand in agreement. As the session ended, Minho approached Ambassador Hawan. "Your people have changed the galaxy's perception of humanity forever," he said. Hawan smiled diplomatically. "We never wanted war, Observer Minho. We only wanted respect and the right to determine our own path. Sometimes the smallest creatures must demonstrate their strength before the larger ones will listen." The message was clear to all. Humanity had proven that technological advancement alone did not determine a species' strength. Sometimes the most dangerous power was the ability to adapt, to learn, and to turn an enemy's strength against them. The Hornets had defended their nest, and the galaxy would never underestimate them again. Fleet Admiral Jaho Park stood at the observation deck of Earth's first extraterrestrial embassy, newly constructed in neutral space. Through the reinforced windows, he could see ships from dozens of alien civilizations moving through carefully designated flight paths. Many of them adjusted their courses to stay well away from the Earth vessels patrolling the area. "The latest diplomatic reports, Admiral," said his aide, presenting a data tablet. Jiho reviewed the information with interest. In the 3 months since the Drachnid conflict ended, Earth had established trade agreements with 15 different species and received technology exchange proposals from 30 more. "It seems our reputation continues to grow," Jiho observed. The tablet showed footage of alien military academies now teaching courses about Earth's defensive strategies. They studied how a supposedly primitive planet had transformed itself into an impregnable fortress. Ambassador Hawan Kim entered the observation deck, returning from another successful negotiation. "The Centaurian Alliance has agreed to our terms," she announced. "They're particularly interested in our quantum shield technology." Jiho nodded. "And what do they offer in return?" "Advanced terraforming systems," Hawan replied. "They were quite eager to trade once I reminded them how quickly we adapted the Drachnid technology we studied." In the space around the embassy, a new Earth defense drone performed a routine patrol. Several alien ships altered their course simply to avoid passing near it. The galaxy had learned to respect even the smallest Earth vessel. "Supreme Commander Vex has requested another meeting," Hawan continued. "The Drachnid Empire wishes to establish regular diplomatic relations." Jiho allowed himself a small smile. The same empire that had demanded Earth's surrender now sought peaceful cooperation. "Times have certainly changed," he said. Their conversation was interrupted by a priority alert. A group of ships from an unknown species had entered the solar system, approaching Earth's outer defense perimeter. "They're scanning our defenses," reported the tactical officer. "Should we power up the response systems?" "No," Jiho decided. "Let them scan. Let them see everything we want them to see." He knew that Earth's true defensive capabilities remained hidden, just as they had before the Drachnid conflict. The unknown ships soon retreated, but their message was clear. New species were testing Earth's boundaries, trying to understand the civilization that had humbled the mighty Drachnid Empire. "Have you heard what they're calling our solar system now?" Hawan asked. "The entire galaxy refers to it as the Hornets' nest. Some species even use it as a warning to their children." Jiho watched as another group of alien merchants carefully followed Earth's designated trade routes. "Good," he said. "Let them remember why. Let them understand that sometimes the smallest creatures deserve the most respect." In the decades that followed, Earth's influence continued to grow. Humans became known throughout the galaxy not just for their military prowess, but for their ability to adapt and improve upon any technology they encountered. The observation deck's windows automatically tinted as the local star's light intensified. Jiho looked at the bustling space traffic and remembered how different things had been just a few months ago. Earth had proved itself not just as a defender, but as a civilization worthy of respect. "Send word to all Earth forces," he instructed his aide. "Maintain regular patrol patterns. Just because we have peace doesn't mean we stop preparing. After all, that was the lesson Earth had taught the galaxy. The Hornets would always keep their stingers sharp, ready to defend their nest if needed. But they would also welcome those who came in peace, offering alliance and cooperation to any who showed proper respect. The age of hiding Earth's strength was over. A new era had begun.